Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Mouse Minds. Now, we have a very special episode for you this week because we had so much major announcements, and there's so much speculation going on right now. I have not seen the Disney community this excited, upset, frustrated, all kinds of different emotions. Every single emotion that you can think of from inside out. That is what we are all experiencing right now, or not all of us, but a lot of us are experiencing right now with all the recent news that we got at the Parks and Experience panel at the D23 Expo. And for this evening's show, or for this episode of our podcast, I gathered together uh, let's say, as they say in Cantonese, a ragtag bunch of people here um, to kind of comment on all the news and kind of give their take on everything here. As always, as we talked about last week, Luella was at the expo. We were all extremely jealous of Luella's time because Luella was about, not that far from John Stamos. So we're very jealous of how her proximity to John Stamos and Josh Tomorrow for that matter too, because he's right up there too. But most importantly, John Stamos. How was it like seeing him in person?
Oh, I love me some John Stamos. I saw him at when they did Candlelight here at Disneyland, which is done very differently there at Walt Disney World, and that was like really exciting. But he loves Disneyland. I'm pretty sure you all
Yep.
know he has one of the sign like the first letter of the D in his backyard, and you can see it from if you're going on one of the drives. You can see it, so you know where his house is. So he's a big fan.
Yeah. He's definitely a mega fan. He even has a Dumbo, one of the vehicles from Dumbo in his house too, and a lot of other stuff. I strongly believe that he's the reason why they auction off all the stuff from Disneyland now, because
Oh.
they used to just kind of like give the stuff away, and now there's like auctions for all the stuff. I think he's the reason why, because they know he'll pay for it. So we've had a lot of news to talk about this week. Before we get into that, I just want to give Luella a chance to give us her firsthand experience. We all some of us watched an official live stream because Disney didn't provide an official live stream of the event, only to cast members, and for some reason in Fortnite as well, which I didn't even try to figure that out. But you could watch it on Fortnite as well. But there
Some
was
of it, not all of it.
some okay, not all of it. And then there were bootleg live streams that people were just streaming from their phones, which worked out. I mean, they had huge people watching, so I'm kind of shocked that Disney didn't do a live stream. But so we did have that. But Luella, you were there, so tell us what it was like being in that. I mean, I saw the. Were you at the movie panel too? The movies and panel the night before?
Yes, yes, I did all the evenings at the Honda Center. And if you've ever followed, I mean, they don't call it the expo anymore, but it's just
Yeah.
so much easier to say expo than fan appreciation event. But it was really quite daunting. It was at the Honda Center is really large, and I think they kept mentioning it's 12,000 people. So before, when they would do these events, they would be at the Anaheim Convention Center, and the max that they could fill the room would be like 6,000, maybe 6,500. So this is double the attendance. So it really was quite a spectacle, and they did a very good production of it. So it was exciting to just be there, exciting to be in the room, and they exciting to hear what they had to say. So had entertainment, had celebrities, had great lights and interactive lighting wristbands that we wore, so and confetti at the end. So I couldn't have asked for a better show. And the Honda Center is not that far from the Anaheim Convention Center, so I was curious how this was all going to play out. But I think they did as best as they could as a first time event of separate from the Anaheim Convention Center.
Yeah, it was definitely more of a show than announcements because I don't know how many musical numbers there were. Everything was a musical number. Josh would say 2 lines, and then there'd be a musical number, which, I mean, for me personally, was not my favorite thing. I understand why they did it because Disney's they're all about show and flash, and that's what they do. So, and they have, of course, Disney on Broadway, so why not make everything a musical? Um, but it was not my favorite thing. I wish they would have just got to the announcements, but it's okay. It made it interesting. Um, but there was just a lot going on, and then of course you were at the expo as well. Now you went all 3 days, correct?
Yes, I went all 3 days.
Did you so, um, so they had the panel the 2nd day, and then the 3rd day, they added the models into the Imagineering, booth at the expo. Did you make it in to see those? I saw video, it looked horrific. There was crowds and crowds of people pushing their way through to see these models.
Yeah, I was able to get into Imagineering, but I don't know if any of you have ever attended an expo or a con. And if you've ever attended a con on the floor, it doesn't matter like what it is. It's 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 a lot. It's a lot of people. And so
Mhm,
as you can imagine, the Imagineering pavilion was the most popular pavilion the next day. And I had
mhm,
tried, my goal was to take pictures and record some things for you guys, but it was just too much. The line was going to wrapping around the pavilion, and they don't limit the amount of time that you can be there. It flows. So
mhm,
I just didn't have that much time because there's lots of things I want to see on the expo floor.
mhm,
So, and there was a lot of influencers. There's a lot of people posting. So I was in the room. It'd be nice to see the models, but because I was already in the room, I didn't feel that to invest the hours to go in to try to see that.
mhm,
But there were other things there in the Imagineering Pavilion, and you can just see all the technology that they have, and so it's exciting what to come. And so there's a lot of people posting. I'm sure you guys have seen that. And until it actually comes into fruition, there's always changes, but the plan is nice.
Yeah, that's one thing that they made very clear was about, all these things were in active development. So that was something the fans were extremely excited about. Now, before I go any further here, before we get into this, I realized that I didn't introduce everyone, and I'm so sorry for that because I have been sitting on this news and I've just wanted an avenue to talk about it ever since it was announced. So I'm so excited, um, just to chat. But, so, of course, we are joined by our lovely host this week. We have Luella, uh, Lisa, and, of course, our loveliest ghost host, Michael.
I will
He is
take
here with
that.
us. And then, we are also joined this week, my brother who actually does the Orlando Tourism Report. You can listen to him live on 91.5 FM in the Orlando area every week on Fridays from 10 a.m. till noon. He does that show every week, which is a great source for tourism, theme park news. You can also listen to it online, WPRK online. If you look it up, you can find the station and listen to it there. Excellent, excellent show. I actually used to be on that show. I've been in that studio many a times, and it is a great show, and it is just awesome. And every week they pump out another great episode. And then we're also joined this week by the man, the myth, the legend, Eric Yates, who is in the theme park universe, has just has been around forever. Has seen so many changes. Between SeaWorld, Universal. I mean, Disney, this is the guy. This is the guy right here. Used to run Behind the Thrills, um, .net if you're familiar, major website, and I've known him for years. He's a great friend, and just an all around awesome guy. So we are so honored to have him on the show this week to chat with us. And I've been talking to him a little beforehand, and he has some very interesting takes on not Disney but Epic Universe as well, which we have to touch a little bit on that too. So we will definitely get into that. But let's kick it off with let's just go right into it. We had so many announcements this week. Especially for Walt Disney World, of course. We all knew kind of going into this that this had to be a a big announcement or a big uh, panel for them because of the fact that, they do have to compete with Epic Universe just up the street opening next year, and we're getting a brand new theme park with I can't even remember how many lands. But we're getting so many different lands and our portals, I guess you could say, to different lands, and we're getting all kinds of new attractions from things like Super Mario Brothers to the Universal Dark Universe. So we expected Disney to make some major announcements, and that they did. They made some pretty substantial announcements all across the board. I will say probably the one that I was not did not have on my bingo card the most was the cruise line expansion. 4 new ships um arriving between 2027 and 2031, which is just insane. Like, they're not getting rid of any ships, they're just adding 4 more ships on top of what they are already adding, which is like insanity. Like, I don't know the business of the Disney Cruise Line. How I'm assuming it must be doing fantastic because they're constantly adding new ships. It seems like every year we get a new ship. So, someone was saying that uh, with them adding all these ships, it puts them almost on par with some of the biggest cruise lines, like having the same amount of ships or even more ships than some of the bigger cruise lines. So that is a massive development, and I can tell you personally, if you've never been on a Disney cruise, I know it is uh, generally more expensive than all the other cruise lines, but it is an experience that you will never forget. The food is fantastic, the accommodations are fantastic, and then having that one-on-one time with the characters is absolutely fantastic as well on the ship. I mean, you literally, when you're on sea days, I mean, you literally have characters running in and out of like the main promenade there, and you can just have your pick with them and have whatever photos you want. Luella's smiling; she knows what I'm talking about. It's truly like it's like taking the experience of characters at Disneyland, putting them out on sea, and then just cycling them out constantly throughout the day. I mean, it's so much fun.
Oh, I
But
love me a Disney cruise.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100% on that. And of course, we had some new shows announced there. We had a new Disney Hercules show. Um, we had um, we had a new Disney The Tale of Moana show announced. So there is some new shows coming to that park or to those cruise ships. And of course there'll be a lot more. I'm sure new shows coming with the new ships coming in the future. So it'll be very interesting to see what kind of restaurants we get on the ships, what kind of shows we're looking at, the general size of the ships. It's the ships can only get bigger, so it'll be really interesting to see. So, did you guys have any thoughts on the cruise line expansion or anything that you wanted to say before I move on?
I'll add this. I think with this cruise line expansion, expect it to come to ports that they're not already at right now. So I think maybe more European ports, if I had to make a guess. I mean, yes, we know we're getting Japan, but
Yeah.
I can see these before they have announced maybe going to more places they haven't been.
That makes
That's
sense.
that's
I would agree with that.
Yeah. I,
yeah,
I
I love Disney Cruise. Like there's my kids beg all the time. We've all loved them. So that would be great to have even more options, um, especially in Europe, Mediterranean. I think those will be big hits.
And then I don't know if you realize, but in here in the West, we
mhm.
share the ship, the Wonder or the Magic, with the other ports. So it's not like for now. There's no ship that's coming in the West. So because that ship is in Alaska, so it would be nice to actually have one that's consistently here. So it makes sense.
It does make sense, and someone else had told me that too. Um, um, that there was no ship other, so they expected it to come to LA, and ship out of LA. That was one of the ships is expected there too. So yeah. So okay. So did anybody have anything else to say before we move on?
Just don't sell the ships near any icebergs. There was a bad story I saw once. It involved an iceberg and a ship. You just don't want to take these ships near an iceberg.
Good
Noted.
morning.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's probably good advice.
And I see we have some comments on the face or in the YouTube chat here. Um, it looks like they're saying there's a rumor that Disneyland is going to be having Fortnite meet and greets with some of the characters from Fortnite. Um, I don't know if I believe that. That might just be someone saying I never heard anything about that. I don't know about that. If any of you have heard anything about that, please let me know. Um, oh, I think someone's just making a joke. But yeah. So yeah, that is awesome. So let's go into the park. So we'll start off with Disneyland Paris. We didn't get too much there except a new nighttime spectacular, which they just got the Electrical Sky Parade. So I don't know why they'd be getting another nighttime show because the Electrical Sky Parade is fantastic. And a friend of mine just was actually there and saw it and said it was fantastic. So I don't know why we need another show, but hey, we'll see how that goes. And then of course we go on to the Disneyland park, which didn't get too many announcements. They got a big one, which has been I've seen has been kind of controversial, but of course Tiana's Bayou Adventure is opening November 15th. We all expected that. That's nothing new. But they are actually getting a show with a Walt Disney animatronic. This will be for the first little while. It'll be the only show that's played. This is of course going in the theater where Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln is, and
It's
then
switching.
eventually it'll be switching. It'll be
No,
switching.
it would be like they're doing both shows. Think kind of like what they do at Epcot with Beauty and the Beast and this is what I heard. Beauty and the Beast and Impressions Day France. So you're still gonna have both shows.
Oh, so there. I thought Josh said the first like little bit there was just going to be the Walt show, and then they were going to do the swapping.
See, that would actually make sense because you figure pretty much everyone going to California to Disneyland's already seen the Lincoln show countless times. Put something new in there and give enough time so that the wait times are down, so you're not waiting through another show you didn't want to see. I think that would slow people down.
Yep, and so I will say the Walt Disney animatronic has definitely sparked some controversy. Of course, the Walt Disney family has stated that they are against it. They are not fans of it. They, they said this is. I had never heard this because this topic has never really even crossed my mind. But I guess I, I don't know if any of you can confirm this, but Walt himself said he didn't want an animatronic of himself. I read that somewhere that was one of his wishes that they didn't make an animatronic of him. I mean I guess maybe I could see that, but I don't. Then again I can't necessarily see that, but I don't know. But
Well, you figure the only place he has appeared, I mean, outside of One Man's Dream, they had a Walt lookalike in one of those earlier parades in the 2000s. But outside of that, he hasn't been there.
yeah,
Between his family and him, I think that was the idea that he didn't want to be a part of the park as a person. We'll see what happens. They're going to move forward anyway. I'm sure the family's petition's not going to make much difference, but we'll see how it goes.
No, and that makes a lot of sense too because even when he was in the park, as much as the few videos that you've seen of him in the parks, when he is like asked for autographs or something like he kind of shies away from that. So I can kind of understand him not wanting to be the focus there. But I honestly, what we saw, what they showed us, I think the concept art, it looked fantastic. I'm really excited for this. This is like one of the coolest things that kind of slipped. I wouldn't say it slipped under the radar, but it wasn't a huge announcement, but I think it's a really strong announcement. I mean, that's a great addition and a great way to utilize that theater, cycling the two shows. So that'll be real. It'll be interesting to see Walt talking and standing in person. I'm not sure how I feel about that yet.
I think he's become more of a because the company is a corporation, right? It's not like in his time where it's kind of a family company. So, having attended some events with the actual Walt Disney family, I think they don't like to have a lot of attention on themselves. He didn't like to have a lot of attention themselves. I remember when the Mickey and Friends statue was first coming out. I don't think the family was too thrilled with that, but it's just, we're getting into a part where now a lot of the people who knew him are unfortunately passing away. And so I think as long as it's done tastefully, it's going to come regardless. So let's hope it's tasteful. They don't take Lincoln out, and it just will educate a new generation of, I mean, he's become a symbol of you can dream it, and you can do it. So
Of course.
you just want it to be tasteful. I just want it to be tasteful.
And that was one of the things in talking to some of my friends they were worried about too, because they didn't want it to be something where Walt just spit out like taglines, like if you can dream it, you can do it, or like the thing, like his famous catchphrases that he always says. They didn't want him to just be spouting those for a good 5 minutes. They wanted him to actually be, have something to say, and like you said, be tasteful.
Yes.
So, all right. So moving on from there, so going into more park news for the Disneyland parks. We also have at DCA, they're going to get a new Avatar link. The Way of Water will be added.
Oops.
Nope, he disappeared.
Well, the new Avatar land will be added, but it won't be exactly it'll be like the sport about the Way of Water. So a different story, which I think is good. I think it's good. I don't know how people felt about Galaxy's Edge being a total carbon copy of both sides. So I don't think a lot of people like that. And so now you're going to have an Avatar land, but it'll be just a little bit different. So maybe it'll encourage you to visit the park and see a different story. And I think that's good. That's a good thing.
And as we've said on the show many times, give me a reason to go to both parks. I don't want to make the trek across the country and go, hey, this is Walt Disney World, only with a smaller castle. Give me more stuff to see and do, so it's not an exact repeat. So if you can keep the idea, because they've got some ideas already for Avatar, they're coming out with all these other movies, that's fine. But give it a different story so that when I get there, I have something to look at.
No, I 100% agree. And I when they said it was for, like this is different than what we have in Animal Kingdom over here in Orlando, I like the idea more. And it gives us a chance to experience something different inside the world, because as we've seen the story of the first one and the first movie, which is where they got the ideas for the Avatar and Animal Kingdom. So it's good to see him going into something different, and we get to explore the world more.
Yeah, actually, last year was my first time ever visiting Disneyland, and just to kind of accentuate what you said, I was expecting more Disney World, and I was so pleasantly surprised when it wasn't. So to add another Avatar, it's like, oh, great. They're going to have another, Soarin' type ride, just like in Animal Kingdom. They're going to have another river adventure. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to stick to the first movie like this one did. We're going to go with a little bit of the first one, a lot of the second one, and then a lot of the third one, which hasn't even really been released yet. So that's really exciting to see that. Yeah, they're going on just this completely different tangent within the same universe. And to point what you set out with Galaxy's Edge, that was something that while there were little differences, it was still kind of disappointing. It's like, no, we got this at home. I don't really need to spend any time here.
No, I 100%.
Instead.
I 100% agree because I went um, to Disneyland first time last year as well, and like I didn't even go to Galaxy's Edge for that same reason. I I spent most of my time in the stuff that was I don't have over in Orlando.
Which makes sense. And leaning into the new movie, which hasn't come out yet, is something we never really see when it comes to attractions. It's always years after the movie's been out that we actually see something for that movie in the park. So it's really nice because it'll give them a chance, while the movie's relevant, to really get people in the park that have just seen the movie. Now they can experience it at California Adventure. So that will be it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out. As someone who has Avatar in at our parks here or at Animal Kingdom, it doesn't move the needle too much for me. I have to wait and see full concept art, really see how they do it, and I think it'll be something that will eventually pique my interest. But right now, it's just okay. I have Avatar here, like why? So, but being that it's a different story, I can definitely see, how that would make a difference.
I'm just curious where it's going to be. If you've been to Disneyland, it's in the middle of a neighborhood. There's
Mhm.
houses all around. So I was like, where are they going to put it? There's no room. There's no room.
Well, isn't there like a parking lot to the
There's a
right?
parking lot. Yeah, there's a parking
That's
lot. There is.
that's what I've always heard they're gonna do something with that parking lot.
Yeah.
So we will see.
Yeah. If you do run Disney, you run through that parking lot.
Well, now you'll run through Avatar.
Yeah.
All right. So we also got announced the first ever Coco ride, which if I'm not mistaken was a boat ride that we will see for that movie, I should say. Which Coco rides have kind of been rumored all over the parks for a while now. So this was not too shocking to see, but it does sound interesting. It'll be a nice addition to California Adventure. But the thing that I think that I'm or most intrigued by with the California Adventure announcements is the Stark Flight Lab, which essentially looks, if you've ever went to the Sum of All Thrills at Epcot, it basically looks like a 2.0 version of this because you have the same ride system, which is the Kuka arm, which they also use for Harry Potter, um, Forbidden Journey, dynamic attractions, and all that. They all love using that Kuka arm, and it's just a fantastic. It makes for a very unique ride when done correctly. Of course, Some of All Thrills was kind of bare bones, and you had a screen in front of you, and there was no theming around it. But as we've seen with the Harry Potter attraction, they can do a lot with that technology. And that was basically like the Harry Potter was like the 1.0 version of that. This is like 6.0 or something for the Kuka arm because they've been working on this forever. So it'll be very interesting to see how this turns out because this one looks, I mean, just based off of the concept art that we got, and let me see if I can throw this up on the screen here for you guys. Just based on the concept art that we did receive for this attraction, it looks. I'm excited. This one, this one gets me a little excited. I don't know about you guys.
Well, it looks like I'm going to get sick on that ride. There's something like that at Legoland here, and I can't go on it. So,
Uh-huh.
fortunately, that goes way of the teacups that I'll just look at from afar.
And there, I just threw a shot up on the live feed here. And
Yeah.
you can see, I mean, it looks absolutely crazy. Full over the shoulder restraints. That Kuka arm is just going nuts. It looks like, I mean, just looking at the pictures, the concept art I'm seeing here, it looks like it's like the Kuka arm is trackless. I don't know. There's so much going on here. It looks like there's a track that the ride vehicle sits on, and then that eventually connects to the Kuka arm, and then there's, I don't know. It's very hard to tell with the photo, but it looks very interesting and something that I'm honestly extremely excited for. I mean, Avengers Campus, the whole area is amazing. I mean, just that Spider-Man show alone, like I could sit there and watch that Spider-Man jump all day. Like that would be enough for me. That is so freaking cool. Like what they're doing over there is nothing short of incredible. And I also wonder too, maybe Eric, I don't know if you've felt this way, but I feel like with the Marvel stuff, they went really crazy on it. A, because it's Marvel, and B, because they knew, that Universal has the Marvel stuff on this side of the country, so they have to go a little extra to kind of top what's already there.
I will tell you, going to Avengers Campus, and I'm probably the only person in the room right now that isn't impressed with it, but I wasn't impressed. Now, granted, I didn't get to do any of the rides because we spent the majority of our day at Disneyland because, Space Mountain 5 times was more important.
So you didn't ride Guardians Mission Breakout?
I won't even ride Tower of Terror. I'm a
okay.
So no, that didn't. I looked at it. It was pretty, and I saw some of the characters walking around. I saw Spider-Man. That was great, but maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm jaded with it. But Universal does such a great job. Granted, it's a completely different take on it. It's a 100% different take on it. But the take that I'm used to, the take that I love, is the Marvel Superhero Island take, where it's ripped right out of the comic books. For me, this one didn't. Avengers Campus didn't pop. It didn't really do too much for me. It looked like it was shoehorned in, and a lot of stuff was just kind of plastered over. But again, I'm a huge critic when it comes to that kind of stuff, and I just tried to enjoy it for what it was. But no, we didn't get a chance to do any of the attractions. We just kind of walked through and, okay, this is nice. Oh wow, there's Spider-Man. That's pretty cool. So something like this for me would probably be a little bit of a draw, because it's especially how, I guess it's going to matter how they theme it and what the story is. If you're going to actually control your flight suit, which it looks like down where the on the concept art, it looks like there might be a handle or something there to kind of control it, or even if it's something along the lines of like a test track where you scan your magic band and you can control what your stuff is going to do, then that might be a great attraction. If it's just going to go around on a track and have a predetermined amount of twists and turns and flips, I don't know. It seems like it's just kind of slapping a sticker on it and saying, hey, it's Iron Man. But I don't know. Again, that's probably just my take on it.
You see, and that's my problem with Universal, where they do have a lot of cool attractions. They're basically Six Flagging all of these things, where you're taking a roller coaster, painting it green. Oh, now this is a whole coaster. We have our free fall ride. Okay, it's the Doom free fall ride. Outside of that awesome Spider-Man attraction, nothing about that area as far as attractions go screams Marvel with superheroes.
You're absolutely right.
And the meet and greets are fantastic, but the rides are so weak as far as...
Yeah, and unfortunately, they're locked into the attractions that they have. If they, as we saw a couple of years ago, they've been wanting to completely redo that land, and the best that they could do is they just rebuilt Hulk from the ground up because they had a lot of issues. And we can get into the contracts and everything, and that's just a completely different subject. But with the contracts, they really are not allowing Universal to do much else with that land. There have been plans, there's been blueprints that have been leaked online. There's all kinds of different things that are out there where Universal has the ability, especially with the technology that they have now. But because of the contracts and everything with Disney and Marvel and the ownership and everything, we're just not going to get to see it. So yeah, we're kind of stuck with great story, amazing launch on Hulk, but in the end, it's just a coaster. Really cool setup where you walk up to Doctor Doom, but like you said, it's just a drop tower. But yeah, outside of Spider-Man, that's pretty much it. So
Spider-Man will always be one of my favorite theme
Oh
park.
yeah, absolutely.
That thing is incredible.
And speaking of Spider-Man, we did get also they are getting at California Adventure and Avengers Campus the the uh, the Avengers Campus attraction uh, with the King Thanos, which I believe this is the ride vehicle here that we are looking at for that one there,
Mhm.
which looks very similar to the Spider-Man attraction
Yep.
at Universal.
So Rob, you're absolutely right. Scott Townbridge, who's working on this ride, also worked on the Spider-Man ride. So I'm like, when you put those two together, it's like, oh wow, I'm not surprised this is, the way it is.
And there was and if you've ever watched documentaries about the Spider-Man ride, when they were building that, it was a marvel at the time because the biggest thing for them was having the 3D images with the moving attraction. That was very hard for them to do, and they were shooting the 3D image onto multiple different fabrics until they found one that actually worked. I mean, things like shower curtains to like just sheets to see if they could get anything to work with the 3D. So the technology is awesome, but again, this looks like, I mean, you're right. If he's doing it, then absolutely it looks like something that's going to be very similar, which I'm not upset about because like Michael said, Spider-Man is an incredible attraction. Incredible attraction still to this day, an incredible attraction. One I would go out of my way for to ride. So I'm all for that.
As long as they don't name that one the Scoop, we're fine.
Well, it could be the most dangerous night of your life and yours.
So moving on from there, we got some. Moving on from there, we're gonna go over to the Asian parks. Tokyo Disney, of course. We're in that area, I should say. Got their. They provided some updates on Fantasy Springs expansion at Tokyo Disney Sea, which will be inspired by the worlds of Frozen, Tangled, and Peter Pan. And the land will feature new attractions and immersive environments based on the beloved films. So that'll be nice to have there. We're excited for that. Anything at Tokyo Disney, I mean, is done so well. The Oriental Land Company, they pump so much money into that sucker. It's just incredible the things that come out of there. I'm still amazed at that Beauty and the Beast attraction over there. It's like one of the greatest things I've ever seen. One day I will see that in person, and I cannot wait for that day because every time I watch that video, I'm like floored at how amazing that looks. So we're very excited for that. And then, of course, Hong Kong Disneyland will be getting their opening for World of Frozen in November 2024. It'll be an entirely themed land around Frozen. They're going to have Frozen Ever After and a new interactive experience called Wandering Oaken's Sliding Sleighs. Should be very interesting there. And then we have the Castle of Magical Dreams coming to Hong Kong Disneyland as well. Um, New seasonal overlays and entertainment for the Castle of Magical Dreams in Hong Kong Disneyland. So they're continuing to expand their offerings at that park there for that. Now, I saved the most time for us to talk about. Before I get into this, Luella, do you have anything that you are our Disneyland? You live out there. You go all the time. You saw these announcements. What are your thoughts on everything? I know you mentioned where are they going to put it, but other than that, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think this presentation was heavily Walt Disney World, and rightfully so. You have Epic Universe coming, so I think from the Disneyland end, a lot of people were hoping for something with our Tomorrowland. If you've ever been to it, it's quite sad.
Yeah.
But we have OSHA here. We have a very, very strict, California group that there's a lot of things that can't be done. What can be done in Florida? So there was no announcement of that, and I think that's probably our biggest disappointment with Tomorrowland. It needs a heavy update. But
I saw a lot of comments when I was watching the live feed that said "People Mover or die."
yeah,
So
well, People Mover's not coming. I mean, it's not with OSHA. So,
No.
but
No.
I wish they could remove the track or something, but who knows? But yeah, we'll see. I think the big news, next year Disneyland turns 70, so I think that was the highlight. They're gonna do like the party for when Disneyland turns 70.
I think the reason we didn't get Tomorrowland is they wanted to focus on stuff that wasn't blue sky. I think they're working on Tomorrowland, and I think for the 70th they're going to announce it.
Yeah, and I'm glad they didn't focus on blue sky, because if you remember the last expo, it was like, what if Beyond Thunder Mountain? But that was it was all blue sky.
Yeah. At least everything now they've said, and I've heard this from numerous people, and I believe they said this too at the panel, but everything within 5 years. So everything they're working on now that they announced is going to be within the next 5 years. And they've already started. They've already got the shovels in the ground and have already started the projects, which doesn't necessarily make sense with some of these projects, which we'll talk about in a second here. But yeah, so it's good to see that they are working on getting things out. I mean, of course, they have to do timelines. Everything is revolving around Epic Universe. I mean, let's just be real. Universal has played it so smart with this park. I mean, basically forcing people to buy a 3-day ticket and spend 2 days at Universal to even get a chance to get into Epic Universe is, brilliant for them, because that's now they're taking 3 days away from Disney. So that right there alone is just brilliant. I don't know if it's marketing or what it is, but that is a brilliant strategy.
It's half marketing, but half crowd control. If you remember, for the first year and a half of Volcano Bay, they did the exact same thing. Because everybody was just so amazed, and rightfully so, with Volcano Bay.
Yeah, Volcano Bay.
And we actually went to the media event of that, and they were still pouring plaster in some of the lazy rivers and doing work on a lot of the stuff. But a lot of that, by 3-day park, the only way that you're going to do it is a 3-day park, and no annual pass access unless you buy this brand new annual pass, and then even then your days are blocked, was all just crowd control. And now it's a lot different, and you can buy 1-day passes to it. You can get the annual passes and everything on it. But again, I think a lot of that is just going to be crowd control, because you have this brand new park that a lot of people are excited about.
See, to me, this whole thing, and I know it's semantics here, but I think this is more Disney's answer to Universal more than trying to compete. Trying to compete is not, we're going to open things 5 years after you've already had your park up and running. Competing is, you're opening August 1st. We're opening 3 days earlier on July 28th, and you're bringing A and B. Well, we're bringing A, B, C, and D. That's competition. This is them scrambling, saying, okay, we're going to need to step up our game. Unfortunately, it's going to be half a decade after this new park opens. By then, the shine will have worn off, and people will be back at Disney anyway. So I don't know I don't know. I'm excited for the changes. Just don't know why they didn't bring these things out.
And that's
knowing what's coming.
And that's definitely the reason why they kept announcing timelines. That's definitely the reason why they kept saying all these projects are already in progress. They're already happening. They know they cannot blue sky this one. These projects have to be happening. People have to see progress. Heck, if I was Disney, I would just put up all the walls right now, just so people know that something's coming. I mean, how long did we sit with walls at Epcot? I mean, it's insane. I mean, obviously they're not going to do that because it's a little bit tricky with Disney attractions, because I even posted this as a joke, and I'm sure you saw this, Michael, and went crazy in the annual pass holders group. But when they announced the closure of Dinosaur, which we'll talk about in a minute here, I joked that, now Dinosaur is going to have a 3-hour wait, and that's literally what will happen.
The riverboat's going to have a 3-hour wait. We're in trouble.
People that have never ridden this attraction in years are going to come out of the woodworks and say, "Oh, it's my favorite attraction." So Disney knows that they have to do things in kind of shifts. They can't just remove things overnight because people will just be up in arms because now all these people come out of the woodworks and say this is my favorite attraction. So it's you're right. It did feel like they were scrambling. It did feel like they had to get something out, but I don't know if they just thought that because they had plenty of time. I mean, yes, COVID, there was a break there, but I- when were we announced Epic Universe? What, 2019, 2018? You know,
2019.
2019, yeah.
2019. So even before COVID, so they could have been, getting some sort of plan together. Even though COVID, I understand, caused a lapse in everybody's timeline, but they could have still gotten something out in the same time frame. I think is Universal, or at least something big out to try to get some sort of attendance because, I mean, we just saw the quarterly report for Disney, and they did say attendance is down, and I think that and what I've seen, numbers wise, we talked to Kyle last week or a few weeks ago about where people are traveling to, and a lot of people are going overseas. They're I think a lot of people are waiting out Epic Universe. That's why they're not coming to Orlando right now, and I think they're traveling overseas because they just don't. I don't think families see the value in a Disney vacation anymore. As great as it is, I think it's at that tipping point where it's so expensive that has a lot to play in
Well,
with with people not showing up.
well, another way to look at it is not so much they're not seeing the value in the vacation. It's just that you look at the other parks. Take Japan for example. You look at Japan's country. The yen is so weak that it's more value. You're going to get more out of going to Japan. So going to Tokyo Disneyland, going to Tokyo Disney Sea, and so when
Yeah.
you do when you at the end of the day, you might actually be spending less to go to Tokyo Disney Sea versus going to Walt Disney World.
And that's a great point because I just had friends who went to Tokyo Disneyland not maybe like 3 months ago, 4 months ago, and a day's ticket there was like $70. It was like 75, $77 once you did the conversion, which compared to a day's ticket at Walt Disney World, you're looking at 200, almost $200. That's a huge difference. And although you're spending more to go outside of the country, you're in another country. You're not just. I'm not saying Orlando's not a bad place to go, but it's you're in another country. There's so much more you can see in addition to Disney, and you're getting those tickets for $70. So that's a lot more attractive to people. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that's my take on it.
Well, I
Yeah, I
think
wonder if
the
it's
theme park
harder.
industry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I wonder if it's harder for or easier for a family in Idaho to pack up and take the kids to Florida than to pack up the family, pack enough clothes, and travel over to Japan with the family. Or is it easier for an older couple or a couple with one older child to pull something like that off?
I you know I don't know about that. I don't. I I do think that Middle America has been a little priced out from Disney because of the pricing. It's so expensive for them. Um, I do think now that I also think too this merger now. What is it now? Cedar Fair Parks has become what, Six Flags Parks now? Is that's official, right? It's
Yeah,
all
Six
Six
Flags.
Flags. So you can buy basically an annual pass to every Six Flags park in the country, and that's a lot of parks. So you could almost like if you were serious, I mean obviously Six Flags is not Disney by any way, shape, or mean, but they're regional parks. They're a lot closer to get to. They may not have the level of detail as a Disney park, but they're a lot easier to get to, and you can get a pass that gets you to all the parks. You could travel around the country and go to all these parks too. So I just think there's a lot of other options out there, and it's just not. I just don't think Walt Disney World right now has anything that is so brand new and just over the top that it's pulling people in the doors.
Plus, not every vacation needs to be an amusement park. You know, there's other things to be doing in the summer
That's true.
than hitting a theme park every year.
That's true. That's true. I think we're just so used to people basically, coming to Orlando year after year and going to Walt Disney World or Disneyland year after year. It just happens. It became tradition for people. It's like, you know, people would always joke, when is it going to stop? The prices keep going up and people continue to pay it. And it kept going up and going up. And I think it's getting to that point where people are like, hey, hold on a minute. And I think the pandemic pushed that a little bit too. Everybody stayed at home for so long, and then when they finally got out of the house, they went to their creature comforts, which a lot of people went to Orlando and Walt Disney World, and they were like, okay, this is great, but I want to do something different. I stayed at home for so long, I want to do something different. And that's why they're trying to venture out and do something different.
And
But
I think
we could
that's a
spend
lot
hours
of
discussing.
sorry.
Go
But I
ahead.
think that's a lot of it
No, go ahead.
too, is that theme parks in general are, while they are, you have some parks that are up more than others, overall attendance could be down across the board. And I don't follow it like I used to, so I'm not sure if that's the case right now. But I know that it's pretty much unheard of to get an annual pass to pretty much any park for less than $200. And right now, Universal's offering just that from now until pretty much the end of the year, a pass for $200 for every single day. I mean, it doesn't give you parking or anything like that, but still, for almost the same price as a one-day Disney ticket, you can go to Universal as many times as you want for Florida residents.
Or basically almost the same price as a one-day Universal ticket.
Yeah,
A
exactly.
one-day two-park ticket, you get access for the rest of the year. When I saw that, I was literally floored. And then on top of that, Universal announced last week for pass holders that they were doing up to 50% off on rooms, which is I haven't seen that in forever. And if you're doing something like Cabana Bay, that's a pretty substantial discount for a stay. Now they're only doing it until like the end of September, which kind of stinks, but they are still doing it, which signifies that there is, they only do these discounts when there's no one there. Let's just be real. When attendance is down, when the numbers are down, they try to fill it up with pass holders and whoever they can, and that's just the reality.
And the same with Disney. They try to reach out for their pass holders, their Florida residents, and everything else. But if you notice, Disney's really not offering those same discounts. They're offering some discounts, but not the same type. Because I think for Disney, it's become more of, okay, yeah, you're right. We're not getting as many people in the parks, but people are still spending the same, if not more money than they did when we had all these people in the park. So it's kind of equaling itself out.
It's not about the quantity with Disney. It's about the quality. They want those guests in the park that spend more money, that will go to have a table service meal for every meal. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Been that way for a couple of years. They're marketing more towards those guests, the ones that stay at deluxe resorts, the ones that spend, every last dime they have at Disney. So yes, 100%. But hey, what can I say? At least the pass holder, I know Disney takes care of me, because there is a new pass holder magnet coming that I have to go and get in line for, and everyone's clamoring for. I don't even remember what it is now, but they've been talking about it in the app. I get notifications, it seems like every day, about this magnet. They're really hyping up this magnet, and I'm like, okay, Disney, slow down. I appreciate the magnet. I'm not ungrateful by any means, shape, or form, but still. All right, so let's get into Walt Disney World, because we have a lot to talk about with this, and this is going to be a long show. So I apologize to everyone. This is going to be a long show, but we have a lot to talk about. So, Walt Disney World, we got a lot of announcements. So we'll start. I mentioned Dinosaur. Dinosaur, of course, was announced to be going away. We don't know when it's going away, but it is going to be replaced by the Indiana Jones, or an Indiana Jones ride. A lot of people speculated that it was going to be the same ride as what's in California, although Dinoland shares a similar track and a similar ride. The ride vehicle is exactly the same, if I remember correctly, but the track is very similar. Not 100%, but very similar. And they announced that there would be a new Indiana Jones ride. I don't remember what the theme is though.
You, you, you,
It's gonna be
you,
exploring a
you're,
mind
you're,
temple.
yes, but you're hunting after, I wouldn't say hunting, but looking for a mystical beast. Do not know
Yeah,
what the mystical beast is, but that's what you're looking for.
It's a
that is
Carnotaur.
it. Is that
Maybe.
what? Is that?
I
I
like
don't know
that
if that
it's
is.
going to be different, like a different story, even if
Mhm.
it'll be the same track. You don't.
I
When
agree.
I ride dinosaur, I really sometimes can't place myself when I'm right where it would be in Indy. So you
Yeah.
have a new story. I think that's exciting. I think it's very exciting. I can't wait to write it. And I'm glad, like, it's not just going to be a carbon copy, because I think that would be lazy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm very.
Yeah. I totally agree. And go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
No. Go ahead, Eric.
Well, okay, so I'm very excited for the fact that we do get an
Uh-huh.
Indiana Jones ride, but I don't know. Maybe it's just the purist in me. Maybe it's just the nerd in me. I get that they're going to tie this to Animal Kingdom by um, searching for a mythical beast, and that's great. But I still feel like that this would be better suited for Adventureland or its own standalone section next to the Indiana Jones stunt show in Hollywood Studios. I just think that putting it in Animal Kingdom, while I'm sure they're going to do a great job and it will end up fitting, I just feel like it's a stretch.
No, I agree with the stretch part. I think they are gonna have to stretch it a little. They are trying to make it work, which I do appreciate, because like
Well,
the land, the
let
Tropical America land as a whole, definitely feels like a little bit of a stretch, but you know, but I think it
yeah.
still will work. I just like I am gonna get a little
I
ahead of ourselves, but I want to say this much. I hope they add an animal trail to Tropical Americas. They haven't said anything about it, but I hope
that
they
that is
add
that
one.
is that is something I was just talking about today, because keep in mind we're not only getting the Indiana Jones ride inside um Tropical Americas. We're also getting an Encanto ride as well. So I get where they're kind of I understand what you're saying, Eric, about kind of merging the themes. They're kind of pushing two movies that are kind of polar opposites and putting them together. Um and that's fine, I guess, because of the Mayan temple and of course the Encanto. It makes sense. In my head it makes sense. That's fantastic. It's fine. But I'm with Ed on this. I was thinking tropical birds or something of that nature, that they do need to, because they can easily put in some sort of animal walkthrough or something, and I do think that that area would benefit from something like that, just to further tie it into Animal Kingdom. And also, I want to see tropical birds. I mean, I'm not against seeing tropical birds. More animals inside Animal Kingdom.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. More animals inside Animal Kingdom. That's very well said.
But so we are getting an Encanto ride as well, as I just mentioned. That's going in that area as well. This one's going to be a boat attraction, just based off of the concept art that we saw. So not much to say there. It's just going to be,
I, I,
set
I, I,
inside
w-
the Cavita. Go ahead.
I will add this. I was surprised they went with a boat attraction because, and this is something the creators of Encanto talked about, is the way they modeled some of the way the movies moved was inspired by a trackless ride system, because they were kind of thinking, well, they're thinking long term in their plans and saying, well, we would love for this movie to be a ride. So 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 some of the way they were moving in the film was inspired by a trackless ride system. So I was a little surprised to hear the boat system, because it seems like the filmmakers were pushing for more of the trackless ride system, like at
I
Mystic
did
Manor.
not know that.
Hmm.
That's I did not know that fact. That's actually now the more that I think about the movie, it makes a lot of sense that they, the way they move the scenes and stuff, that it would
Yeah,
be something.
like more so in the house. This is the way they more moved inside the house.
Mhm.
Okay, because like I said, it was inspired by Mystic Manor and such, a little bit. So, you know,
That does make sense. But I with a family full of people that love Encanto, we are beyond excited. But one of the questions first was, well, are you still going to be able to meet Mirabelle in Magic Kingdom? Or will more characters be, at Epcot? Will there be a
Well,
meet and greet? So,
isn't the site that Mirabelle's at? Well, I mean, we have Mirabelle in Epcot and Magic Kingdom right now,
right.
but we have her doing that show in front of Communicore Hall, and then we have her in that. But that spot that's over there where she's at, that's like that temporary spot behind the castle, right?
Right. Yes, and
She's
there
behind the
have
castle,
been
right? Yeah.
numerous
That's,
numerous
that's
meet and
been a
greets.
bunch of yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they'll just swap that out. That'll just be something
I think so too.
that is that she'll just meet it. And yeah, that'll that thing's been it was Merida before it was um
Right.
Mirabelle. So maybe they'll switch back to Merida. I don't know.
Right.
I always enjoyed the Merida. But going on with Animal Kingdom, we did get a replacement for It's Tough to Be a Bug, which a lot of people cheered for because people do not like It's Tough to Be a Bug. Mostly the what is it, the wasp scene where they sting you. Everyone hates that part of the ride. So there was a lot of excitement for this one. And we're going to get a Zootopia Better Together show, which I'm really excited for. Anything Zootopia in the parks. I was really bummed when we didn't get Zootopia Land. That was something I was actually looking forward to because I love Zootopia. It's one of my favorite Disney movies. It's just a great story, and the fact that we're getting, I think, didn't they announce a Zootopia 2? Yeah, they did at the movies panel. So we're getting another Zootopia movie. So that sounds like something that'll be really awesome, and it's expected to open the winter of 2025. So we do have a lot of things that are opening in 2025. So this is really great to see that. Now, next we'll move over to Epcot. Not too much to say there. Obviously, the walls are down. The construction there has been done. People were kind of mixed on the announcements that we got for Epcot because we didn't get that much, and I guess a lot of people aren't very happy with what was announced or what has been completed at Epcot so far, which I completely understand. If you listen to previous episodes and hear my thoughts on Communicore Hall, it just some of it doesn't make sense. But that's you can listen to other episodes and hear me rant about that. But we did get an update about Test Track, which will be interesting. They're going to add some new exhibits inside there and new show scenes focused on technological advances. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. Of course, they've also said that this one is going to be themed or have sort of a World of Motion vibe to it. So it'll be with throwbacks to World of Motion in it as well. So very excited to see how that turns out. Now, did you guys have any thoughts on the Test Track expansion or anything on that?
I was glad to see it actually kind of go back to World of Motion and kind of go back to the original Test Track, or at least it sounds like the original Test Track. But
Mhm.
I'm with you. Everything that they've done with Epcot thus far that they promised us quite a few years ago has just been really lackluster. So
Yeah.
to actually see something moving along fairly quickly with Test Track to bring it back to somewhat what it was, that kind of made me happy a little bit there.
And I will say
I
the
think they're
biggest
kind of
thing.
stuck with what they have, because unless you're going to get rid of that exterior speed loop,
Yeah.
then you're just into an inside ride, slow as World of Motion was. So you have to
But
determine: do you want to keep it half thrill, half inside?
but we are getting rid of something at Test Track, which is a major eyesore, and I am so glad it is going to be gone. And that is that giant canopy out in front of the attraction. They are getting rid of that. If you've seen the new concept art, it is going to be gone. Thankfully, there it looks like they've they've already started removing it or are removing it from what I've seen. But I am so excited this is going away. You want to talk about old World of Motion vibes? I mean, this right here, just having that canopy gone. Just here, I'm gonna throw this up for those of you watching live so you can see this. But this right here, this entrance is gorgeous. You see you see that circular silver building there that is distinctly World of Motion test track. And it's just gorgeous. So it'll be really nice to see this one finished. I'm excited for this one. I think it's gonna be really nice when it's done. So, and that one's coming in 2025. So we don't have much longer to wait for that. I would imagine probably they'll do that early summer next year to get into those crowds. Maybe around the same time as Epic Universe, just to have some sort of heartbeat coming out of the Disney parks. Then now, the other thing that we got announced at Epcot, which I'm actually really excited about. This is one of the things. This was on like my top 3 things excited for Magic Kingdom or for Walt Disney World. Is this new Spaceship Earth themed lounge that they're adding to Epcot? Now, if you've ever been to Epcot and you've looked at Spaceship Earth from behind, you'll notice that there is a row of windows right behind Spaceship Earth that is elevated. It's maybe like 2 or 3 stories high. Um, that is where this is going to go. It's pretty much been confirmed with the concept art. I think one of the Imagineers or someone confirmed it at the expo. That is where this is going. It's going in the old Siemens VIP lounge, and I've been up there one time, and the views up there are incredible. This is going to be the spot for fireworks. This is going to be a hot ticket. They don't have a lot of space up there, but it is going to be a nice, kind of cool, quirky, um, small, quaint place where they can really get a nice view of the fireworks. Just sit up there and enjoy a drink and really just watch the people down below. And I'm really excited for this. This one looks really cool. This was definitely not on my radar at all, and I'm really excited for this one. I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely excited.
No, it should be interesting. And
Now,
I'm
we'll go into some of the
curious
big stuff here.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I said this lounge should be interesting. I'm curious what they're gonna have there, just as far as food wise, because and such.
Just wondering what kind of
Yeah,
trek it's going to be to try to either get a reservation or to get in there,
True.
especially after 8 o'clock. It's over.
Mhm.
yeah, people are going to be in there for fireworks. That's going to be the spot. I would not be surprised if they find a
Like a
way at
special
some point
upcharge.
to monetize that, whether it be some sort of special dessert party or party in the lounge there where they pipe in the audio from the fireworks. I don't know what that would look like, but and please don't, if you're listening, Disney, please don't. These are not ideas. Please don't. We don't want this. But I would not be surprised if they did do that. That it's a prime opportunity for them to do that. But please don't do that. We don't do that. So moving on, because I don't want to take too long here. But oh, we're gonna go into Hollywood Studios now. It has been something is coming to Hollywood Studios that has been rumored since the dawn of time. I can
True.
remember like probably like 15 years ago hearing about a Monsters Inc. land, hearing about a Doors coaster. I know I can't tell you how many people I've seen post concept art of designs that they've drawn themselves or drew up themselves of their own version of what this attraction would look like, so on and so forth. And this has been just rumored forever, and it's because it's a great idea. Having a roller coaster inside Monsters Inc. land that is themed after the Doors, and you're on basically the conveyor belt going to all the, uh, you know, you're one of the doors on the conveyor belt is an exceptional idea. I love this idea, and now that we're seeing it and seeing that we're getting this um, at Hollywood Studios, I'm very excited for this. How about you guys?
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited. Go on.
No, that's it. I'm just excited.
Oh, okay. I'm excited as well. One thing I'm intrigued by is, do they move Monsters Inc. Laugh 4? It would make more sense if they were to move it over there.
Why have it two places? And here's a
Yeah.
screenshot I threw up of some of the concept art here. And you can see, you're kind of riding on an inverted coaster, right next to the doors, and this is such a cool idea. I mean, this is hitting it out of the park. Now, the downside, and we're gonna see this at Magic Kingdom too, is now we have to figure out, where do we put this thing? Where does it go? And unfortunately, at Hollywood Studios, we got to get rid of something before we can put it. And that's where all the rumors are circulating right now, and people are upset and da 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 da, because we don't know where it's going. Some people say it's going to be it's going to overtake Muppets. Muppets is going to go away, and Star Tours is going to go away, and it's just going to be that whole area over there by Indiana Jones. That Indiana Jones might go away too. Some people have stated it's going to go in the back by the where the old animation area is back there, and like Launch Bay and all that stuff. I will say, the more that I looked at Hollywood Studios this week to kind of figure out where this might go, I realized that when it comes to Star Wars, man, Hollywood Studios is kind of fragmented when it comes to Star Wars, because they have Launch Bay in one part, they have Star Tours in another part, and then we have Galaxy's Edge as a whole land. So I don't know where the move is for this. The thing I'm hearing the most, is Muppets goes away, and so does Star Tours, and that's where it goes. That's what I'm hearing the most. Now, if that's true or not, I don't know, but that's what I'm hearing.
See,
I haven't heard.
Still something that they update regularly every time a new film comes in, and that's really the only place they can shoehorn in any new ride if they're going to keep sticking with this Batu silliness, and you can't have anything else outside of this timeline. If you do take away the Muppets, does that force you to re-theme that terrible pizza place and the fake Italian restaurant in the back, because they never brought back the Christmas shop? You do have that area, and depending upon what kind of expansion they're looking for, if it's just going to be that one ride in the rest of Monstropolis, you can have a downtown monster area, but you're going to need 2 new restaurants.
So I haven't heard officially where it's going, but I have heard rumblings of Star Tours. So if you're a fan of Star Tours, I would definitely ride that ride. I'm thinking at least from Indiana Jones to Star Tours, I think you're going to see that go away, and then maybe bleed in over to
Muppets Courtyard is pretty big, so they could do a lot in that space. So I can definitely see it.
No.
Sorry, 1 second. Muppets Courtyard is not that big. It's actually not that big.
I mean, all we can do is speculate, but I'm wondering if you put Monstropolis right outside Echo Lake. That would seem like a weird, you have that whole area there kind of set up. There's not much going on, but is that where you put the entrance? And then you have to take out Backlot Express.
I mean, I think Backlot Express is probably going to go as well. I mean, it's because, especially when you actually look at the concept art, and if you're familiar with Force Monsters Inc., they actually drop a really cool reference to a famous horror movie. I think horror movie designer or something, but I think his name is Harryhausen. Like, there's a rest. What?
Ray Harryhausen? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And they reference him in the movie because they, Mike and his girlfriend, I don't remember her name, actually go to a restaurant. It's called like Harryhausen's. And if you actually look at the concept art, you can see the logo for Harryhausen's, the chopsticks with the eyes, which that was the logo for Harryhausen's. And it's off to, when you're staring at like the entrance of the coaster, it's off to the right. and with me thinking that it's going to take over Star Tours, I'm thinking to the right of Star Tours, staring at Star Tours is Backlot Express. So maybe that's where they're going to put. That's what
Oh, that's a good point. They could just
I can
repurpose
see.
that restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Well, regardless of, I mean, this is where the controversies are. People are
But
worried about.
I would like to add something to the Muppet Vision controversy, and this was actually before the announcement and before I even thought about the announcement. That I think it was either a preservation group or some group was actually petitioning Disney to say, hey, this is something that you should keep for like a really, really long time, like forever, because you know this was like the last Muppet thing that Jim Henson worked on. So if I was Disney, here's like the two things. One of the two things I would do: I'd either save Muppets, or save Muppet Vision, or just completely dismantle everything inside of Muppet Vision, go to like a Jim Henson museum, and just say, "Here you go. We'll maintain it for you, and just give it to them." So you still have it, and so people can enjoy, Jim Henson's last Muppet project, but they can also, without really, getting rid of it. If that makes, what I'm saying.
That makes a lot of sense. I could totally see that happen. I could totally see that happening. All right. So, so so we are getting Monsters Inc. Land at Hollywood Studios. It looks amazing. The concept art looks fantastic. I'm
Oh, it
really
does look
excited for
amazing.
that. It's just gonna be awesome. I am too curious about Monsters Inc. Life Floor. It's always weird to me when we have segmented rides across like multiple parks, like having Monsters Inc. Life Floor there and then having it in Monsters Inc. Land. It's like it should be in Monsters Inc. Land, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll see what happens with that when the time comes. We have plenty of time before that
Mm-hmm.
opens. Now we're gonna go on to probably the most talked about park with all the expansions, at least what I've seen talked about right now, and that would be Magic Kingdom. And there is a lot of buzz going around. Of course, in Magic Kingdom, we are going to also get a new Pirates of the Caribbean themed lounge. Now, more than likely, this is going to go where the Pirates League was before. I would not be surprised if I would be shocked if it went somewhere else. There's no way that this doesn't go somewhere else. This has to go in the
Same.
Pirates. There's it's just the perfect space. And once you get in there, they have like a secret entrance into the Pirates League, so they could repurpose that and make it a secret entrance to this lounge, which would actually be kind of fun. I could see this being a lot of fun. Of course, this every time there's another lounge or something inside Magic Kingdom, people throw their arms in the air and say Walt didn't want drinking at the parks and so on and so forth. But it is what
This is gonna be the first lounge in Magic Kingdom.
yeah, the first lounge. But, well, I mean, they have
But
alcohol at other restaurants.
they have
It's just
alcohol
gonna
at
be
the
the
restaurants, so this one I think is gonna be probably the first place where you're not gonna need a reservation so much, like to go get a drink.
yep, exactly. Now, so that's exciting. That looks great. Now we are going to get um two things at Magic Kingdom, two big things. Number one, we're going to get a Cars themed. I don't know if you want to say it's a land or an attraction, but we are going to get a Cars themed area inside Frontierland. And I know Eric left, but he had some excellent points on this um, about them kind of shoehorning in this into Frontierland. And the more, the more that I think about this, the more I kind of agree with him because they they didn't want to give us just straight up Radiator Springs racers. They didn't want to give that to us. I mean, obviously, we don't want to clone out here anyway, so they gave us something different. And we got a Jeep version of Radiator Springs Racers, basically. And really, the only thing that ties it in my opinion, to Frontierland is just the setting of where you're going through the mud in the Jeeps. I mean, there's really nothing else
So
that ties it into Frontierland.
so a couple things. Well, what they're kind of tying it into is you're exploring the West essentially, and that's what they're going with as far as the tie-in. As you're riding this car and exploring the West, like you're racing through the West, to be a better way of explaining it. But one thing I am intrigued that I did see someone talk about today, and someone brought up a good point, is a couple years ago at IAAPA, Dynamic Attractions released a concept and this concept actually included G.I. Joe, and it was for a Jeep dark ride system. I'm wondering if this Jeep dark ride system is going to be the system we're going to be getting with this new Cars ride. Is it's
Just
based
to show you
upon
guys.
like looking at the concept art and looking at the G.I. Joe video? It seems somewhat likely.
And Dynamic Attractions is an amazing attraction maker. They make some amazing attractions. They did the Harry Potter attractions at Universal. And I'll just throw up the concept for this G.I. Joe attraction. This is it right here. And I have to agree with you, Ed. This looks very similar to what we were
Mm-hmm.
promised with this attraction, with a Cars theme where the cars have the eyes and so on and so
Mm-hmm.
forth. So it'll be very interesting to see if that's it. And if I understand this correctly, the way the system works is it's a trackless design, but it still like
Mm-hmm.
follows a path. And it's kind of just goes on its own and does its own thing, which is insane to me. So that one will be very interesting to see how, what system they use for that and how they build that. Now, the controversy around this attraction is where it is going to be placed, and this is the
Mm-hmm.
controversy with the Villains Land as well, which we'll talk about in a second. Is what are we going to lose to get these attractions? And
Mm-hmm.
the consensus from everybody, and I've heard this from people that talk to Imagineers at the show too, is that we're going to lose the Liberty Bell, we're going to lose Rivers of America, and we're going to lose Tom Sawyer Island. Now, to be
I'm going to
honest
be
with
on.
you, the last time that I went to Tom Sawyer, go ahead.
I'm going to be honest. I'm not sad about losing Tom Sawyer's Island, but I am a little sad about losing the Liberty Bell. And what I was hoping they were going to do is shorten. So kind of what they did for Disneyland when they opened Star Wars Land is shorten the river, and still have it. What I'd love for them to do is, of course, shorten the river, and then pretty much have most of what's left of Tom Sawyer's Island be the new Radiator Springs area, and have it so you're racing on that like island. So as you're on the boat, you can check out the Liberty Bell and check out the ride, like a full 360 type thing almost. But I don't think that's gonna happen.
It'll be interesting to see.
I think that
Yeah.
one of the best things at DCA is Cars Land. So I'm super excited to at least have like that landscape. I'm kind of sad to, I'll miss the
Well,
Liberty Bell and all of that, but
keep
just
in mind
having.
we're not getting the Cars Land landscape. We're not getting Radiator Springs. We're
So you
getting.
don't think there will be any theming around that ride?
I think it's just.
No, there will be theming. I think the way to kind of look at it is think of and I'm kind of dating myself, but think a little bit like you take Nature's Wonderland, the old Disneyland attraction, and you're kind of racing, and you mix the Cars ride that we have now, and you mix them two together, and you kind of get something like that.
Like a combination, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw up on the screen here.
Radiator Springs itself is located in the desert. So if you're going to put it anywhere, you put it in that desert scape, as opposed to any of these tracks racing through downtown. There you go.
Right.
So yeah, if you're watching online, you can see the concept art, but if you haven't seen it, it's basically, there's a race just like Radiator Springs Racer, but it's like a dirt Jeep race. And Mater and Lightning are there, doing the reporting for the race, and there's people cheering you on, and basically it's going to be I wouldn't say this is like, I guess this would be still kind of in that area, but it's going to be a dirt race, which they did have the dirt race in the original Cars movie. So this could, definitely be an offshoot of that. So um I heard someone saying earlier that it was going to be like the Doc's like proving grounds, like how he did that with
Right. We took
someone's
McQueen
got some
out and
noises. Yeah, took
oh,
him to the mountain there. So, um, no, it's all right. So then it'll be interesting to see if that's actually what the whole theme of the attraction is. But
Now there,
I'm excited for.
now
Go
there
ahead.
is going to be two attractions, two Cars attractions. The one you're sorry, someone down the wrong line. I apologize. Um, the one you were showing um is more for bigger kids and such, and they know that, so they promised an attraction that. I apologize. They apologize. I mean, the second one is gonna be more for little kids.
So maybe something like what is the thing they have at at California Adventure with Mater? Something like that, maybe where it spins around. I don't know.
Yeah, when, yeah.
Junkyard Jamboree,
Yeah,
hmm
Giant Jamboree.
which is essentially very similar to the swirling saucers.
Yep, exactly.
So
So maybe
as long as
something
it's faster than that ridiculous Tomorrowland Speedway, we got to do. So
I'm pretty sure it'll be. I'm pretty sure it'll be faster than that. I'm just very curious to see
Yeah.
how these ride vehicles work, because it's very interesting technology, and dynamic attraction just does crazy stuff. They just finished project for Ferrari World, which it basically almost bankrupted them, but it is one of the most insane coasters that you'll ever see, because it goes like sideways, and it has like a part where it goes like it turns into like a simulator, and then there's screens, and then there's a launch, and there's just so many things that happen in this coaster. It's insane. It really pushes the limits of what the technology that we have right now. So anything dynamic attractions is going to be an absolutely insane attraction.
hmm
So, but like I said, I'm not that upset. I was upset at first about losing Tom Sawyer's Island, because Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island, that's just iconic. That's what you think of when you think of Disneyland. That's what you think of when you think of Magic Kingdom. You hear the Liberty Bell blowing the horn inside the park. It's just iconic. But they have not done any repairs to Tom Sawyer Island in a while, and it shows. The Barrow Bridge is gone. It's just two poles sticking out of the water. The 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 um the front, the little fort is in disrepair, kind of. They haven't really done anything to it. So as much as I'm sad to see it go, because there are some really cool, unique places inside Tom Sawyer Island. It is, I think it's definitely it's time for it to set sail.
It's 100% time for Tom Sawyer's Island to go. Um, the only thing I'm sad about is just losing Rivers of America, because that's part of the vibe of the park, in my opinion. And that just, so it's losing a big part of the vibe of the park. So, but again, I'm not sad about losing Tom Sawyer's Island. Nope.
you know what? Before, when we were talking about plans and what's been in the works and what they've scrambled to release, I wonder how much of this they kind of planned out already. And that's why they haven't bothered doing anything with Tom Sawyer Island. They make a few changes, but for the work that needed to go in there, maybe they had plans of scrapping this all
Mhm.
along.
Yeah, I think they did, because I mean the island isn't disrepair. I just if Disney, if you're listening, just do one thing for me. I ask you one thing before you close Tom Sawyer Island. Please, please, please open Aunt Polly's just one more time. We can experience the magic of ordering and eating food on Tom Sawyer Island just one more time. That's all I want. One more. Just let us know one day you open up Aunt Polly's and serve us whatever. We'll buy it. We don't care. We'll just so we can say we ordered food on Tom Sawyer's Island, because I've only had the privilege of doing that like one time, and it was awesome. So I don't know why it's
Same,
awesome.
just the
Maybe just
once.
because sometimes, or yeah, maybe because it's so rare. I don't know what it is, but it's something that everyone asks for. So just give us that one more time with Aunt Polly's. Now the last thing that we got, and this will kind of round up all the announcements that we had at the fan event, is the Villains Lane. Now we didn't get a lot of announcements when it comes to Villains Land. They basically just said two attractions. I think right now.
I'd like to point out, if you zoom in on the concept art, you will see coaster track pieces. So I think one of the rides is going to be a coaster.
I did not see that. So I'm
Yep.
gonna pull up the some of the concept art here, so you guys can see, those of you who are watching the live feed. So you can kind of see this concept art. But obviously, if you're not watching, you can go on YouTube and look at our live feed recording down there and see that. But this is some of the concept art for Villains Land. Now, it's kind of hard to tell in this concept art, but I'm sure it's in there somewhere.
So what I'm
Um,
kind of referring to is, since he has the concept art, you have to zoom in, and people have had posted pictures of this on Twitter of it zoomed in. But if I remember correctly, it is on the left-hand side, middle of the concept art. That is where you see the coaster track pieces.
hmm, well,
I'm
I
wondering
this
how detailed that picture's supposed to be.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure that they have a much. I mean, I'd have to pull from the Disney Parks blog and see on there they have a high res version where we can zoom in. Um, but with the one that I had, it wasn't that great for that. But I wouldn't be surprised if they put a coaster in there. That wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. That could be one of the attractions. Um, I think this is
Mm.
still be a nice land. I think it'll have a lot of expansion over the years, and we'll gradually see more and more rides come to this land. So I'm very excited for Villains Land. And to be fair, Villains Land seems like it's going to take up the space behind uh, uh, Thunder Mountain, which everyone's been talking about forever, having that
Mm-hmm.
extra space behind uh,
Well, I wouldn't say
Thunder
Thunder
Mountain.
Mountain. I would say more behind Haunted Mansion, because that's what I heard was
Yeah,
behind
that's
Haunted
true too.
Mansion.
Over in
But
that
I can
kind of
but I can see with the with Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer's Island going away, you have the front half of that being Cars Land and your back half being your Villains Land.
I could totally see, and that's what someone else was commenting too, that the if they by getting rid of Tom Sawyer's Island and Rivers of America, that leaves them a lot more space for Villains Land too, because they can have kind of that direct access in the corner there. So we'll see where that goes. That is kind of to be determined, but we do know where the Cars Land attraction is pretty much going because of the concept art. Um, Seeing where things line up, so they are positive that's going to be Liberty Bell, which will be weird. It's always weird when, like, I remember when they after they got rid of 20,000 Leagues and you're walking over a place that used to have a bunch of water in it, and you're like, wow, this had water in it last week, and now a year ago, and now I'm walking on it. So it'll be interesting to walk where the Liberty Bell once sailed, when they do make those changes. But yeah, that's it. Basically for all of the D23 announcements, other than, I mean, the movies. We didn't really talk about the movie announcements, but I don't.
You did forget
There's a
one.
lot.
You
Which
did
one? I
forget one announcement. So
which was,
they did announce an update to Smuggler's Run,
oh,
and
that's right. Yes, yeah,
essentially they're pulling a kind of like a Star Tours,
and they're
but
adding Grogu.
yes, they're adding Mandalorian and Grogu to kind of tie in
Yes.
with the new movie coming out, which I'm glad to see them doing that with Smuggler's Run, because it's, for a lot of people, it's gotten stale. They've done it. You can
Hmm.
only play a video game so much where it gets repetitive,
Yeah.
and so this is a chance to give them like new levels. You know,
that'll be exciting. That's a that's one of those attractions that, I loved it at first when it came out because I loved walking into the Millennium Falcon, and after a while it just became something that I don't necessarily have to do because I always wind up getting people on my ship that don't know how to do the game, and our ship just crashes, and it just becomes like a nightmare because you get paired with random people that just don't know what they're doing, and then the ride experience is just not as good.
Do you have
All
a
right, so
particular
that's it
place
for all
that
the
you
announcements.
like to?
Go ahead.
Oh, do you have a particular position that you like to sit? Do you have a preferred?
I think I like to be the gunner. I think the gunner is my favorite.
Just
I'm
was
surprised you
curious.
didn't say captain.
I like the captain too. I don't necessarily like flying the ship. A lot of pressure.
So much pressure. I mean, yeah. Sometimes when you crash and burn, it's kind of funny. So
I don't like the rating at the end of that ride where they're like, your ship only survived by 30%, and then he screams at you, and I'm like, it's not my fault. The rest of the people can't hang. Why are you yelling at me for? I didn't do anything. I did my job. I don't know. All right, so that's all the announcements. So I want to hear from you guys before we wrap this up. Do you guys have any final thoughts on anything that we talked about today before I wrap up this show?
No, just being cautiously optimistic with all these announcements. And even if we don't get everything, there's enough stuff going on here. It's a shame it's going to take half a decade before we're seeing most of it. But I'm anxious to see what they actually give us.
I
and I
honestly, this is the first time, just to your point, Michael, this is the first time with all these announcements that I have felt like we are going to get everything announced. Now, what some of those things will shape up to be in the future, especially Villains Land, because we don't really know anything, I have no idea. But I really think that we're going to get everything because I I I I mean, there's been a lot of talk, and they've got a lot to put up with Universal, and the parks are a huge part of Disney's business. So they're taking it very seriously. So I think we're going to get everything with this one.
Yeah.
Nothing blue
As we
sky.
said before a couple of weeks ago, Universal is giving us 100% of everything they promised over the past couple of years.
Yep.
So let's see what happens with Disney when it starts rolling around, especially since Tomorrow came out and said this is not blue sky, which it's blue sky. But we'll see. Hopefully most of this comes to light.
All right, Lisa, what are your thoughts? I know you had some thoughts there.
well, I'm probably, and I know we didn't go over it a ton, and we don't know a lot, but I think I'm kind of really excited about a nighttime parade coming back.
Oh,
Um,
Oh
oh,
yeah, how did we forget? Oh
oh!
my god, that is
I
like
just,
the
I
best
just have
thing.
to say
I've just
this
been
much.
waiting.
I will
Just
say this much. I
my god.
was over at a friend's house who one of his roommates was a cast member, so I was actually watching the stream. And as soon as they announced that nighttime parade, I fell to my knees because I when I go to parks, especially like even when I go like SeaWorld and such, if I have a chance to see the parade, I'm gonna go see the parade.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact we're getting a new nighttime parade is just makes me so happy.
Yeah, for years I've wanted Paint the Night to come, but I will take something new.
Yeah, no, something new is good.
Yeah, yeah,
A
for
lot of
sure.
us, a lot of us had wanted a Paint the Night to come, but it is very amazing that did we get a name for the nighttime show?
We did. I don't remember it. I should look it up so you can remember it.
Yeah, I don't remember it either, but I think we did.
I know it was inspired. They said it was inspired by like Main Tree Electrical Parade.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. No, it
All right,
wasn't.
here. It's called Disney's New Nighttime Parade. Not the most interesting. I mean,
Way
they
to
didn't
go,
come up
Michael.
with
Yes,
Disney's new IP Money Grabber Parade.
IP Money Grabber Parade.
Um,
Well,
let's see here. It will be a Magic Happens. Magic Happens. That
magic
is the
happens.
name, and it'll celebrate moments of magic from Disney and Pixar stories. bringing to life beloved characters with elaborate floats, vibrant costumes, and an energetic musical score. Expect to see stunning floats from movies like Moana, Coco, and Sleeping Beauty. The parade is designed to be a visual feast, with each float intricately designed, intricately, I can never say that word, intricately designed to showcase the magic in these stories. The parade features a contemporary musical score, including an original song written by Todd McCall, which will resonate with both classic Disney fans and newer generations. So there you go. And the concept art for this obviously looks amazing. People have been screaming for a nighttime parade at Magic Kingdom ever since we lost the last parade. So this is something that is much, much, much needed. And
Hmm.
very excited that we are getting this.
I agree. And thank you for talking about it finally at the very, very end.
Yeah, I know.
I
How did I
forgot.
forget? I
I'll
was
be
not.
honest, but I'm glad you remembered.
I had notes. I had notes. I swear. I swear I had notes. So yeah, so that's all the announcements. It sounds exciting. I do say the only thing that I'm upset with Disney about is they named the panel Horizons. They played the Horizons music, but Horizons is still not coming back to Epcot, and I'm a little sore about that. Salt in the wound, Disney. Salt in the wound. We're still not over that one. We want it back. Bring back Horizons and update the Imagination Pavilion while you're at it too. I know Michael has shared his thoughts online in other forums about how they should not invest money into something that doesn't get a lot of foot traffic, but it needs it. Please, please, please put some money in there. All right, guys. So that's going to do it for this week's show. I want to thank everybody that joined us this week. I tried to assemble a panel as quickly as I could with all these amazing announcements. And it was hard because a lot of people were coming back from California to Florida, and they were jet lagged from doing all the travel. So I'm so thankful to everyone that joined. I'm so thankful to Luella for being out there and having that coverage for us. I mean, it's just incredible that she actually got to go and be that close to John Stamos, and she was posting
He's a
pictures and
beach
sending us
boy.
pictures. I'm so thankful for the coverage that she was providing for us. That was just absolutely incredible. Um, but I think that's going to do it for this week's show. We've talked to you for almost 2 hours now about this, but this again is some monumental announcements. So I wanted to take some time on this, and I'm glad we got through basically everything. If I missed something, please let me know, and I'll circle back around. But I think at this point I got everything. Didn't we get a new parade announced for Disneyland too? Or was
No,
that the dream that I had?
no, no.
Maybe that was a dream that I had. Um, but that being said, like I always say every week, if you can dream it, you can do it. And we certainly appreciate everyone that joined us this week. And we'll post the question to you. Post in the comments on our YouTube video. Post on our Facebook page. Let us know, what do you think about the D23 announcements?
Yeah,
What do you
yeah,
think about?
I just occurred to me one thing you did forget, but this was at Disneyland Paris,
Mhm.
and I do want to clarify something. This is the new Flume ride. Now, this is not when I
Oh
say
yes,
Disneyland Paris.
the
This is
Lion King,
actually their Studios park. I can't remember
the
the new name.
adventure,
Yeah,
Disney.
Disney Adventure Park. I think it's what it's called.
Mhm.
But
Yep.
it's the Lion King Flume ride. Now, I want to make a note. If you look at the concept art, you're gonna see that, and you're gonna say this is the live action Lion King. It is not. It is the animation Lion King. And my guess is, I think early on they were going for the live action, but I
Mhm.
think there was at a certain point they decided to change and say, no, let's do the smart thing. Let's go to the
Mhm.
animated version, the one that people like way more.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, there's a lot more that we could go into that. We'll save that for another episode because we've been on here for almost 2 hours talking to you guys, and there's a lot that we could talk about Disney's Adventure Park because there was a lot announced for that too. But people are dropping like flies on the live here, so I'm gonna go ahead and
One
wrap
by
this up.
one.
But we certainly appreciate everyone who joined this week and was on the show. We certainly appreciate everyone that commented in the live chat, who joined on Facebook, who joined on YouTube, wherever you joined at. We thank you, thank you, thank you. And of course, you can find this episode every week at 5 p.m. on your favorite podcasting platform. Just search for Mouse Minds and you'll see us there. Don't forget to like and subscribe on the Disney and Beyond YouTube channel, where you can like this live feed and of course subscribe to our channel. But And of course, Facebook, Mouse Minds on Facebook too, where you can see our question. We'll post out there. What do you guys think of the D23 Expo? What are your thoughts on everything? So that's going to do it for this week's show. We certainly appreciate everyone for joining us. And, we will see you guys next week. Blah, I can't talk today. I'm telling you, it's been a long show. And so that being said, I'm going to throw it off to you guys just to wrap up the show. Is there any one last word you want to say before we end the show?
I don't have anything.
All right.
Yeah, Joe.
Ed's last word was, I don't have anything. And Lisa's last words were, he's speechless. All right. There we go. You've all said your last words. That's it. It's over. It's an hour and 46 minutes. We're delirious at this point.
We are
Thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you next week. Bye now.